Friday to one and all. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back to yet another episode of Sometimes the Old Man is Right. As usual, I am your host, Lamont Ferguson, playing the role of the old man. The old man that showed up 2 weeks in a row. Wow, that's crazy. I said I'd give you more episodes this year than I did last year. It was 3 episodes last year, and we're already on episode number 2. Look at me, still in January. Let me cook, as the kids say, which I still don't really understand what the kids are saying. I never understand what the kids are saying. You know, well, hang on. Let me start again. Let me start the correct way. How are you? How you doing? What's going on? What's the good word? I'm all right. Thanks for asking. I am back at home in the lovely confines in Southern California after earlier this week taking my trip to Arizona, which was nice. It was nice to get out and be back doing the funny. Although I flew out and then rented a car to go to the various places, 2 places, Green Valley and I believe, well, I don't know. It was supposed to be Sun City West, but it may have been Surprise, Arizona. I don't really know. That's a long story. I got lost. Here's the thing. There's a Sun City, and then there's a Sun City West, which is, if you look at the map, it's technically northwest is what it is. But if you're going to build a city or a town, it's a town. There's a town, and you're going to put it right next to the other town and call it the same name but add a direction, then you need to mix up the numbers and the streets, because a common mistake, it just, you can't look at it and say, oh, this is going to cause some problems. The address for Sun City West is the same address for Sun City, except that's not the place I was going to. The place I was going to was Sun City West. The place in Sun City with the address that I plugged into the GPS, which then automatically said, oh, you must be going to Sun City, is a dude's house. And I was going to a golf course. So I just, you know what? I did 15 minutes at the dude's house, and I counted it towards my time. That's what I did. Because I say, get different numbers and different street names. It's not like you can't just make up words. Just make up words. Just make it different. Hey, we're not going to call this North Mission Drive because there's already a North Mission Drive. And if we are going to call it a North Mission Drive, we won't use the same numbers. Oh, not in Arizona. Same numbers. Good luck. Make sure you put in West. Good luck. Anyway. So I did fly out there, and I realize that I'm not ready. I'm still not ready to go back to, the regular work on the cruise ship, because just that sitting on the plane, even though it was only an hour, sitting on the plane, I was like, yeah, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready at all. And I could have driven, but you get to a stage in life where driving's not the option. It is not. Early in this career, you drive everywhere, and you drive for long periods of time. I think the longest I've ever driven, I tried to get home. I was successful to get home for the holidays in December, and I drove straight through from Wenatchee, Washington, all the way down to San Diego. I think it was 24 hours, or a little bit under or a little bit over. 24 hours straight driving to get back home for the holidays. And I can do that. There's no way I could do that today. I don't have the intestinal fortitude to be able to do that. And that's what it is. I say this comedy is a young person's game. It's an older person's art form. But the reason why it's a young person's game is because it is go, 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 get in that car, drive. You can't fly. You can't afford to fly. You're going out to make money. So It was the right amount of driving because when I flew into Phoenix, I still then had a 2.5 hour drive to get to Green Valley. And that was the right amount, the right amount for nostalgic reasons. You go, oh, yeah, I kind of miss this driving. I remember that. But if it had been a mile further, I'd have went, this is garbage. I'm going back home. So shows were fine. Got a little bit of work done by putting in some new stuff here and there, but all went well. A successful 2-day trip to Arizona to return to work as I get ready for the special and maybe some land touring this year. I'm going to toy with the idea of calling the tour, Have You Seen People? I kind of like it. I like how it flows, although it seems like a tour that would be the name of a tour for Sebastian Maniscalco. So I'm not really sure. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. The other thing that I remember last week, that's nice to be able to say. Remember last week when I was talking about going to the doctor and how the suspicion was, did you fall? Have you fallen? And this has to do with technology. And, we've thought for years, our devices are listening to us. We know our devices are listening to us. And then they were saying, no, they're not. And then it turns out, yeah, they were. This is kind of funny because when I'm getting ready for the show today, I'm just kind of going over notes and looking at some of the things that got me fired up. And I do have something that got me fired up. It's the things that's got us all fired up, but I'm going to ease us into it. Is what's going to take place. I'll ease us in. But I look and I see like a reel, and here's what's happening on the reel. The guy is slowly falling over to the ground. And then when he hits the ground, an airbag deploys. The story is about a wearable airbag that will help prevent elderly people from injury when they fall. That's what's in my feed. So I'm going to throw my phone out the window is what I'm going to do whenever I'm talking anymore. It is as goofy as it sounds is exactly how it looks. I don't even know. I didn't look and see what to tell you people whether to look at, to what you could look up to find it. But it's a thing, a wearable airbag that will deploy on a fall that will protect it. I mean, I don't mean to laugh because, old people falling is not good because they suspected me of falling, but it just looks silly that you're going out in bubble wrap and just in case you fall, this thing helps. Well, then who's going to help you up? Like, is it for people who might fall when you're by yourself? Because once you're down, you're going to need someone to help you up. So if you were with someone and you fell, what were they doing that they couldn't have protected you from falling? I get the idea of the device, but I don't see how practical it is. And it looks ridiculous. It'd be one thing if it made you look like, the Michelin Man, from, or the Stay Puft Man, and, you're all protected, but it doesn't. It looks absolutely ridiculous. And when he hits the ground and it deploys, it looks even more ridiculous. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what's going on. And today is Friday. It's a chilly day here in Southern California. And look, people who are in places that are colder, I'm aware that it can get colder. But I'm saying for here, it's pretty doggone cold. It's like 42 degrees when I went to drop Olivia off at school. 42 is a bone-chilling cold here in Southern California. Very cold. And like I said, I know there are places that are colder. Keep it to yourself. I'm not there. I'm here. My cold is relative to where my body is. I am not even sure if I mentioned this when I should have mentioned this. This is episode 42. 42! It's a big number. Big number in baseball. It's Jackie Robinson's number. It's the number that no one else is allowed to wear because of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball. 42. So that's what it is. That's what this episode is. This episode is going to be retired so that no one else can record the episode number 42 in the history of podcasts. All right, folks, like I said, I gave you a little bit of light things to kind of get into it, but we've only got one topic, and then maybe I'll try to ease out at the end to get into something that is lighter. I mean, the podcast isn't necessarily, there are no rules on it. It's my podcast. I can do what I want, say what I want, but I don't want it to be a heavy thing all the time. Just like last week when I said, every joke that I've been writing of late, I don't want it to be through the lens of racial differences. And on here, I will talk about political things, but I'll give it from my viewpoint, which is I'm, in the middle is what it is. I can see both sides. I can see that. And I just want to point out the ridiculousness from both sides, which if you've listened to the podcast, that's exactly what I do. I'm not ranting for one side over the other side. I give you pros and cons is what I do, because this whole idea of where you end up with the preaching to the choir thing, I don't know what my choir is. I think most of the time for the 7 listeners I've got out there, that choir is like, hey, all right, we'll listen. Go ahead. There's not like it's more of a barbershop quartet is what I'd be preaching to. That's what I've got going on. But let us start. Let's start with this, the ICE shooting in Minneapolis. Now, I'm going to say this right up front, is that from what I've seen, because like I said, I don't like watching the news. I didn't even know what took place. I had no idea what took place. I was traveling, not watching news, doing what I do. And then eventually I see the incident and all the outrage and stuff because it kept showing up on my feed. And even on social media, I try not to spend much time. I get in, I get out. I post, and I'm out. That's it. I may do a little bit of scrolling and just a very tiny bit because I don't want to fall into, that rabbit hole where time disappears. You're like, oh, what about this? What about... I don't care, nor do I read comments because my feeling about people. So I found it, saw what was going on. And it only took a few seconds for me to see comments and people yelling back and forth to realize that you're going to see what you want to see. You're going to see whatever side you're on is what you're going to see. I say, oh my goodness, they got hit. And I've seen just, there's such a lack of humanity is thanks to social media, because you don't have to own up to, this is me doing this. I'm on the keyboard and I'm just punching in things and I get to say and spew whatever hatred I want and then just go on with my day. So there's no accountability on it. But I've seen things that were just horribly said that you wouldn't say to a person in person. That should be the rule for social media. Don't say anything on here that you would not say to a person's face that is standing right in front of you. I'm not talking about the hypothetical person's face. I mean, standing right in front of them. Would you say these words to that person? And I know on a keyboard you go, yes, I would. But the truth is you wouldn't. You really wouldn't. But the things I've seen, this is what people deserved. And this is, I tried to put it in the blue dress, gold dress. Remember that whole thing that was going on thing? But that was a scientific thing. You didn't see what you wanted to see. You saw what you saw. This is a case where you see what you want to see. Both sides will see what it is that they see. There's never going to be a time where one side goes, well, maybe let me take a look. No, which goes against my rule And if you've listened to the podcast, I might just change the name of the podcast to look, I already told you this. I've already told you this. You will never be able to have a productive conversation or understanding unless you go into it with a thought in the back of your mind that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And I don't think that's a thing that a lot of people possess, because when you think you're right, you are absolutely dug in, firmly entrenched, toes into the sand. I am absolutely right. And there's never a point where during that argument that anybody questions themselves and says, maybe I'm wrong, or goes into it saying, maybe I'm wrong. The majority of the times that I get into a dispute with anyone, the first thought that goes in through my head is, what if you're wrong? And then I'm able to listen to the person and hear them out, and then kind of make the point. Then you have to either provide the facts of what it is that you're saying that says you're right, but you've got to be able to say, what if you're wrong? This is the problem with the entire society, is everyone goes in gung-ho, I'm 137.95% right. And what if you're not? Because one of you is wrong and one of you is right. And it may not just be you. It could be the other person. And until we get to that point, no one is going to listen to anything that anyone is saying. Now, it's a horrible incident. And when I see people arguing about it, my take is, you can't put one body or one entity and say that they are the result or the cause without taking a look at the preceding cause. I don't know if I said that correctly. I see people, well, here it is. I saw a guy who I know post on there. In essence, what he was saying was that this is the protesters' fault because they should just stay at home. And my question to people who think like that is there anything in your eyes worth protesting? Because if you say protesters should just stay at home, you're telling me there is nothing that is worth protesting. So you're telling me that the government, because usually protests are against government or things that are in power, get it right 100% of the time. 100% of the time they get it right? Is that what you're telling me? So everyone just stay home because daddy knows what's best. Is that what you're telling me? Or is it an idea that the protesters should stay home when they're protesting that's something that you were for? Because that's kind of what it sounded like. Because I've seen people say that the January 6th quote unquote insurrection was not an insurrection. It was just a protest. Just a protest? That seemed like it was a little bit more than a protest. I don't know whether it falls under the jurisdiction of an insurrection, but it seemed more than just a protest. That was a government building. That's the people's building. That is not a Walmart where you went in and took some TVs. That was that. And, it's the same people that go, well, they should stay home. And that was just, well, is it because that was something you believed in? So that became just a protest? But the thing that you don't believe in, you people are in the way and you should just stay home. That is my main problem with everything. It is the inconsistency of your bullshit from either side. Be consistent. That's all I ask, is that you be consistent with your bullshit. I've seen people that were talking about, the Christy Nome she used her vehicle as a weapon. She was trying to drive at people. And these are just, I'm a rules follower. It's what I am. I will follow rules until they don't make sense. I give you some leeway. I give you a bit of rope to say, hey, look, I'm giving you the floor right here. You better make sense. And it doesn't have to make sense to me because I don't have a dog in the fight. I have a dog in the fight of logic. I'm Spock. It's got to make logical sense. If it doesn't make logical sense, then you start going down the ladder a few rungs into dumbness, which is where eventually you will end up dwelling. So things have to make sense. And I'm going to tell you this flat out. I watched the video and I watched a car go from 0 miles an hour, starting point of 0 miles an hour. And then I watched people say they were fearful for their lives, which is the great thing about any type of police force is that they say, I shot because I feared for my life, which is a weird statement because I thought that you feared for your life the minute you signed up for the job. There's a minimal level of fear when taking a job as being someone that's going to protect and serve. So whatever that level of fear is a level that should be higher than the average human being because you're doing something dangerous every single day. I'm just a regular dude, and at no point in my life have I ever feared for my life from a car that was starting at 0 miles an hour, and I'm within arm's reach of that car. Never, ever. In fearing for my life, I thought, oh my God, 0 miles an hour this car is starting? Even if they lunged forward. And if I'm standing on the side of the car, I have no fear that car, you cannot whip a car around from 0 that's going to kill me. Or that I go, oh my God, I might die. I might hurt myself. I got to get out of the way because I could possibly get hurt. But I'm not going to die. The odds are very high that I'm not going to die. So the idea that the ICE officer feared for his life from a car that started at 0 miles an hour, that was wheels turned away from the officer, is just how you play the game. It's how you get away with legalized murder, is that you go, well, I feared for my life. That's why I pulled the trigger. And people go, well, they feared for their lives. Those are the magic words. I feared for my life. There's a lot of unqualified people in different jobs. There are some people that are greatly qualified to be in that job. And those people are people who you can look at and see a level of humanity. I don't know with these ICE agents, especially with the last, how they qualified they were running ads for hiring ICE agents. You remember that blitz that took place? It was like, yo, join ICE, come here. And it wasn't really anything that looked like, hey, we're looking for the best of the best. It said, we are just looking for people. If you've served in the military, if you've done this, then come here, do this. Well, it's a different brand of people who serve in the military because it's about following orders and never questioning those orders. And it's about chain of command and listening to that chain of command. It is not about questioning, looking, dealing with humanity. You can see some of those people that are there that do that. You can see it. The thing that was the most unsettling for me is how the dude, Jonathan Ross is his name, and Renee Good is the victim, was how he walked away and people were yelling at him and saying shame on him. And the look on his face just looked like it was another, whatever day that was, Monday, another Monday, I guess, at the office. I've never served in the military, nor have I ever taken anyone's life. But I know as a human being, that has got to be unsettling for you in that moment. Now, maybe his emotions were running high and he was in shock, but it didn't look like it. The look on his face was just like, to hell with you people, let me get the hell out of here. I've seen people take someone's life, and the onset of that emotion is very crippling and debilitating. Why do you think we have so many service people with PTSD? Why do you think that we even have a phrase called PTSD? Because to take another person's life, even if you're under orders to do so, even if that person was trying to kill you, there is a moment of humanity that sets in where you say, as a human, you go, oh my goodness, what just happened? And I didn't see that with them, nor do you see any of that humanity. I have had many dealings with police officers, not because I was doing anything wrong or anything like that, where you just see policemen, and I'm in a business where I talk to, there's policemen in the audience. I've done shows for for the police forces of different places and stuff like that. For the most part, you see their humanity. You can see that talk to you. Hey, I'm just a guy. There were people I played basketball with when I used to play basketball with that were policemen. You'd have never guessed that they were policemen because of the idea of what it is that we have about policemen, that they're non-caring stuff. No, they're people. They're human beings. Even if they're telling you, hey, to move out of here, they'll tell you why. It's like, look, this is for your safety. Just please listen and move along. We're here. And you know that they're there for your safety. I don't know what ICE is there for. I don't believe it's for my safety. I believe it's to round up, the illegal people. I guess that term's not even correct anymore. Undocumented people. But you should be doing that for their safety and for your safety. It's not people who have been in the country for a long, long time. And they've not committed any crimes, then what are we doing? Who are we trying to protect? Are we trying to protect an administrative? We're trying to correct a clerical thing, is what it is, with these guys that come in and are just busy yelling and screaming. This is what I mean. You cannot say, well, she shouldn't have been there and she caused the problem, when prior to the problem were the ICE people coming in, yelling and screaming at people to run and get out of the way and leave us alone and did all this other stuff like that. That is unsettling. Imagine somebody just ran into your yard and just started yelling, and they've got a badge and some masks and stuff. Is that normal? Because I think what we're trying to get to is that this is supposed to be normal, and then we'll start acting right. But it's not normal. And psychologically, it's a little unsettling, because when you don't know what's going on, people don't know how to react. They don't. And this whole thing was, from day one, it's been mishandled. But it's to be expected from the dude that's at the top. Look, I don't mean to upset you if you're a pro-Trump person, but your dude is trash. Not your party, not the Republican Party. Your dude is trash. As I said, I sit in the middle, and I can see both sides. And I can see positives and negatives on both sides. I'm not a hard left person. I'm not a hard right person. I'm a, call it as I see it, person. And I see that your dude is trash. Not you, your dude. Donald Trump is a dude that wants to be a dictator. Maybe not under that label, but he wants it in that type of power, that type of everyone needs to acquiesce to me. When he goes and visits countries that have dictators or leaders that's it, there's no other election, that's just that dude, he's for life. You've heard him. He's been quoted as saying, well, that's a good idea. Yeah, okay, that's a really good idea. I kind of like that. You know that's what he wants because we've seen him. We saw him on The Apprentice. The buck stops here. I am the end all and be all. That's the problem. I saw a person that summarized it best when they said the problem is that when we elect president of the United States, that president is president of the United States. All of us, whether you like him or don't like him, that is the president for all. And even if you don't like them or like policies, you do have a feeling that they have the overall interest of the country in mind. Now tell me, honestly, do you think that that's what Donald Trump has, is the overall interest of the country in mind? Or is it the interest of people that support him? And to hell with the other people that don't support him? That's what it seems like. I will tell you right now, I am a huge fan of George W. Bush, the person. I know that the left can't stand George W. Bush, him and his policies, and but I watched George W. Bush for a long, long time. Before he was president, when he was president, after he was president. And I'm going to tell you, in my heart of hearts, without knowing the man personally, I believe that's a good dude. I believe that's a good dude at his core. That's a good, solid dude. And I believe that dude had the interests of the entire country in his, wanted the best for that, the best interest for the entire country. That's what I believe. You may have not believed in the way he went about it. A lot of that was Dick Cheney, but we're not getting into that minutia. But that dude at his core really cared about America, the entire country. You tell me that Donald Trump cares about the entire country, or Donald Trump only cares about Donald Trump and whether or not you support Donald Trump. That's what he is. And that's where this thing has gone off the rails from the very beginning, because he sent these guys in there, and they are under the instruction of the fact of when someone said, I'm a physician, can I go take a look and check her vitals, the Renee Good? And the guy said, we don't care. I had to ask, because I'm like, I can't believe I saw that someone said that he said that. And then I went and looked and saw that he actually said it, because I wasn't even going to say anything on hearsay, because I'm like, nobody would say that. No one says we don't care. That can't be possible. Well, it is. So you tell me the ICE folks that come in with all this bravado and we are above the law and you will listen to us does not come as a direct command all the way down the chain from Trump, as in, I need these people to listen. I need you to get in line. I need a Tiananmen Square. I need everyone to start acting right. And if you don't act right, then I'm going to send my dudes in here, and we may have to kill a couple of you. And they won't be prosecuted because you shouldn't have been there. You should have stayed at home, as some of you guys say. But you will act right. I view this a lot as like a historical thing with children. We used to beat kids No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm part of that generation. We got whoopings, hit with a belt. Generation before me got hit with a belt, a shoe, the switch. Remember the switch? You go out, you pull it from the tree, a willow switch. You get hit with that. That's how we used to discipline children. Go, hey, you're not going to listen to me? Then this is what you're going to get. Trump is from that generation, and you are from the generation that you are unless you start to change. I am from a generation that got whoopings. I have never whooped or put a hand on any of my kids. Not because a psychologist told me not to, because it scars them and stuff like that. It's because I remember what it felt like. And we're a different generation than our parents were, where we're a little bit more empathetic. And I couldn't do that. I remember most of the whoopings I ever got and how I felt afterwards. But I didn't have any feeling towards my parents like, oh, they don't like me. I got it. I understood. I did something I was told not to do, probably multiple times, which got them into the angry stage of that. But we tried something different now. That's what we do. We don't, there are people who still whoop their kids. Do what you do. And nothing, I'm telling you my experience. I'm not basing your life on my life. I'm telling you about my life. All right. So don't act like I'm passing judgment on what I'm just saying that the majority of people don't do this anymore. Some of you do. All right. Good on you. Most of us don't. But a lot of us, I will say that I've seen some parents where I'm like, woo, all right, yeah, maybe a whooping be a good idea. Especially people in the airport. Oh my goodness. Your kids in the airport are out of control. And most of the time when I see kids in the airport that have horrible behavior, like they don't respect anybody's boundary or anybody's personal space, which is a big thing in America. Personal space is a huge thing in America. And if you're just letting your kids run around and do stuff, let me tell you something. We don't think your kids are cute. You think your kids are cute and adorable. The rest of us don't care and find your kids annoying. Get your kids in line. And there's always a smiling grandparent behind there because the parents have dumped, they're traveling somewhere and they're taking their mom or dad usually as a babysitter so they can do nothing. Maybe you should have thought about that before you had kids. Seriously, there's a lot about that. Just because you have kids does not mean that you still get to live your life in the way that you choose. Everything that you make a decision on has repercussions. You had kids. All right. The rest of us in the movie theater did not have your kids. So why are we dealing with your decisions? Hey, you had kids. Guess what? I guess you can't go out to a movie for a while till those kids learn how to behave because it's annoying to the rest of us. I know you don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. That's what the rest of us are thinking. Control your badass kids or stay at home or don't have kids. These are your options. You have many options. And the last one is don't bring your badass kids in public where they're annoying everybody else around. Because I didn't plan on your kids when I decided to have my night out or on my trip to wherever it is I'm going to go. But as I said, this is the Trump idea. He was probably brought up in that way. And this is how you deal with people. You break them. You break them. And then they will fall in line. I just want you to be consistent. That's all. I want you to be honest and I want you to be consistent. That's all I ask for in life. Be honest and be consistent. So if you think that the protesters should stay home and this lady, Renee Good, got what she deserved, I better not find anything in your history where you were saying that Ashley Babbitt was murdered. Because she should have stayed home and she'd have been just fine. So you can't have it both ways. Be consistent with your bullshit. Be congruent. I think that's the right word. Be congruent with your nonsense. I think, isn't the old saying that you get more flies with honey than vinegar? And what the ICE agents are doing by just rolling up on places and coming in as if they're ready for battle. Your whole idea is that you're there to help protect American citizens, to help make our society better. Well, how is that approach rolling in with all the yelling and screaming and just disorder? It's a weird tactic. It really is. And I understand that by this point in time where you know that you're going to be rolling it, every time you roll in, it's going to be hostile because people have had enough of the bullying and stuff like that. So now it's been ramped up to where now when they come in, they are ready for anything that takes place. But that could have been avoided in the first place. Like you got here because of how you did it. Don't look at things and just be surprised. Like, I can't believe people hate us like this. I can't really, because your initial approach was crazy. This is the pebble in the pond ripple effect. I can't believe all these waves have been caused in this pool. Really? Well, maybe the boulder should have been a little smaller. Maybe you should have started with a smaller rock to be able to gently make people understand. But that's not what this is about, because the dude in charge is the problem. And he's put many people in charge that should not be in charge. And like I said, I know I probably some Trump people listening because I perform in front of a lot of Trump people. And I've never had an issue because I don't talk about politics on stage. Even if I do, it's usually about me taking the same approach of just being in the middle. But the problem is that people are a little bit too sensitive these days. And I said this at the very beginning when Trump was first elected, is that the reason why is because when George W. Bush was elected, people felt comfortable calling him dumb. That's, oh, this guy's dumb. That's what they did. They felt comfortable calling him dumb. When Trump was elected, they called the voters dumb. Then it became personal. And now, because it's so personal, people now will react very, very volatile. The people will now have a very volatile reaction towards that because you're insulting them. You're not insulting the guy I voted for, which I don't know, but you're insulting me is what it is. And that's why people react in the way that they do. It's almost as if they're like, oh, we got to fight for this guy. I've seen, clips of audience members. You just mention Trump and just say anything. And then they just get mad, which is a weird way to be so defensive for a guy you don't know. And maybe that's the appeal of Trump, is that people feel like they do know him. But it's, I don't know. The whole thing is weird on how people react. But I have seen people, oh, you talk about Trump. It's like, no, I'm not talking about you. Why are you defending so ready to fight for a dude that does not know you? I don't understand that. I've watched tons of people talk poorly about Obama. Not once did I feel like, oh, I got to fight that guy because he's talking about Obama. No, I didn't. Like I said, huge fan of W. I like that dude W. And I didn't feel like, all right, that's fine. You can make fun of him. I didn't feel like I would need to fight for W. It's a bizarre mentality that we have, but it's also passed down. Trump has very thin skin. Trump is extremely thin skinned. And so therefore those behaviors and traits pass down to people. Well, I'm going to fight for him like he would fight. But he doesn't fight fair, because if you insult him, he'll try to insult you, and then eventually he'll turn around and walk away. He won't stand there toe to toe and take an insult. He won't. Obama roasted that dude at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And what did that dude do? Nothing. He sat there and took it. He didn't say anything. So it's it's bizarre the way people act. Like I said, the only way that you'll be able to get through it is what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? Every time Trump came out with a policy and people would just be so angry about it, I immediately would go look up, well, what if this dude's right? What if he's right? People were like, oh, these tariffs will not work. The tariffs, they would never work. I spent a lot of times looking, saying, all right, what are the percentages? What if he did get this right? But the problem is nobody does that. Nobody says, let me give you the benefit of the doubt. What if you got something right? I don't think I'm from here. I think that's the problem. Is I don't think that I'm from here. I would welcome a president from either side that would be the president of the United States. A president that, I don't even have to agree with you. You could be doing some crazy stuff. But as long as I know at your core that you really do want the best for everyone, it's all I care about. I don't believe this dude has that in him. I just don't. And I have not seen anything to prove that he does. That's the problem with it. He's had 5 years. He's had 5 years to show me that he has something within him that is for everybody. And he doesn't. And as long as he's your dude and you're winning, because, we got to be honest, people, they are winning. They are definitely winning. You can't tell me that they're not winning. That's the thing about it. They're like, oh, well, no, they're winning. They're winning. The only thing I see that's a problem is I don't know how you can be a sore loser and a sore winner. That's bizarre. How are you both a sore winner and a sore loser? But they are winning. And I've tried to look at it because I like I said, I don't like this to be the whole soapbox thing, but I'm telling you what I see. He has a cabinet that is an administration that's highly underqualified. But that's what's to be expected as long as you have people that are with you. Hey, I support this guy. Then all right, you're in. Be consistent. Marco Rubio said some horrible things about Donald Trump. Horrible things about Donald Trump. And yet, when he got to have a seat at the table, oh, no, that's my guy. I'm with it. Okay, dude, that's your instance of not being consistent with your bullshit. J.D. Vance, same thing. Although, when I look at the entire cabinet, and I don't know, I've not given this any more thought about it, but the only person that I see that looks to be qualified to do what it is that they do is J.D. Vance. It's the only one. Everyone else in that cabinet is highly unqualified. The only person that I see that is qualified enough to do the job that they do is J.D. Vance. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, how do you, J.D. Vance is here? Okay, fine, I get it. I'm telling you what I see. I'm just giving a brief overview of what I see. And if you were to say, okay, his entire cabinet's unqualified to be in the positions they are, but is there one that is more qualified than others to be in the position they are? The answer's got to be J.D. Vance. It's got to be. Now, it is a little upsetting that what he said at that, whatever that conference or that, whatever the place that he was at, when he said, in America, you no longer have to apologize for being white. That's not been a thing, Mr. Vance. That's never been a thing. I don't know. As a matter of fact, as a black man, I have never received one of these white people apologies that you talk about that apparently is so much out there that you have to make a statement saying we no longer have to do this, because I don't know of any people of color that has ever received one of these white people apologies that is so common that you need to say. I don't think that's a thing. But as far as the people, that's the one dude that I see that I go, yeah, that dude. If he gets out of the umbrella of, out of the tent of this horrible thing that goes on. I think that dude could be a dude that could care about everyone or be concerned with the majority of the country and not just people that support you. That's my thoughts, and I could be wrong. Again, could be wrong, but that's what I say. But that dude in charge, remember, this is an 80-year-old dude. You're a little set in your ways. It's always funny to me when people thought that this dude was going to change. This dude was never going to change. This dude was who he is. Never, ever was this dude going to be anything different than who he is. So there's no, I don't see anything changing. I don't see any compassion. I don't see any humanity coming out from anything. This is you need to fall in line. You need to act right. As that guy said, you need to stay at home if you protest against what he believes and what the rest of us believe. And by us, I mean the people that are firmly entrenched in the MAGA camp. What did I see earlier? I saw a guy that was, here's the problem also with the internet, and it's going to get even worse. One, you don't know what's true. You don't know what's real and what's not real. And that's where we've gotten at this point, is that we don't know what's real nor what's not real, what's fake, because of AI and all the other stuff that takes place on the internet. You could see two different videos. One of them could have been manipulated slightly, and then people just like, oh, we believe that. And then, well, we believe. That's what the internet is eventually going to get to. And it happens so fast. This could happen within the next, 6 weeks. It could be so crazy. But I saw a guy who was protesting the protesters. So I don't even know what level that falls into. Counter protesting, I guess that's what he is. But what if he was there first? Then he's the protester. I don't even know how this works. But he was yelling about to the liberals to go home. And he said, we murdered one of you yesterday. And nobody was bothering him. Like even the agents, they didn't hey, dude, maybe this is a little bit much. And I don't see anybody saying that dude should sit at home. It is odd that if ICE shows up, people show up to protest ICE. Okay, you get it. Cause and effect. All right, we get it. But the dude who shows up and says, you people need to go home, and we murdered one of you guys yesterday. I mean, by the way, this is not an ICE agent. This is just a dude, just a random dude showing up and doing that. Why wouldn't somebody say, dude, this is not helping any of this at all? At all. Yeah, you have the right to freedom of speech. You have the right to say that. But this is close to yelling fire in a crowded theater, if there's not a fire. In essence, that is what he's doing. He's yelling fire in a crowded theater where there's not a fire. There's no reason for him to be there, and no reason for him to be saying, we murdered one of you yesterday, and one of you could be next today. Little incendiary. I get it's free speech, but a little, not, put it under the category of not helping the situation. Can we have that category? Can we have a not helping the situation? If you're here to help, then help. If you're here to just cause a ruckus, you need to take your ass home. That's, I guess, one of the drawbacks of free speech is that it becomes free for everything, even things you don't like. That's the whole idea behind free speech. But there should be a line. And that line is, don't come here to start smoking while you're fueling up the tank. We need to de-escalate. Can we have some de-escalation? Can we have, not necessarily like, hey, can we sit down and talk? But can we? Can we sit down and talk? Can we find a common ground? Because what's happening right now is insane. And you have two options. You can either be part of the protesters, which some of you may not make it, because there's a free reign on killing people and nobody's going to be prosecuted. Or you can just get in line. Just toe the line. Get in line. I believe there's got to be somewhere in the middle. There's got to be some ground in the middle. What if you're wrong? All right. I think I handled that as well as I possibly could have handled that. If I lose listeners, there were only 7 to begin with. Come on, people. I'm honest with my life, my lot in life, where I am, what's going on. There were 7 people listening to begin with. Maybe it'll be down to 5. All right. Fair enough. I wish the 2 that you left, I wish you well. I'm going to be out for another few days of where I can't play pickleball. Like, I feel like I could play today. I felt like I could have played this morning, but then I wouldn't have been able to sit here and rant on the podcast. So I chose to do the responsible thing, and I will wait till Monday. Monday, I will be back out on the pickleball court. That is what the hope is as the knee continues to improve every day. So Monday, hopefully, to be out on the pickleball court. You know, I always not pass up, but I miss the opportunity to do promotion. That's the worst thing about me and my character, is that I'm really bad at self-promotion. So I've just now started, when I go up on stage, to promote the podcast and say, hey, you can listen to me and my rantings on Sometimes the Old Man is Right. And then plugging the pickleball, pickleball comedian, as far as that social media tag, that's gained more ground than my original thing, which is just TV funny man. It's surpassed it by a high amount as far as that. So I think maybe I'm just gonna stick and try to consolidate to pickleball comedian is what it will be. So but this is the thing. I started talking for the pickleball folks that are listening. I have an idea, and I've had an idea since I first started this thing. And this is the great thing about it. Here's the idea. So I see a lot of times people use pickleball as a fundraiser thing. They'd say, hey, come and play in the tournament, and the money will go towards X or whatever it is. It's a pickleball fundraiser is what it is. I have an idea for the ultimate pickleball fundraiser. Now, this may have to be done by a large scale with a large company because of the budget and stuff, but it still would be definitely worth it. I know quite a few highly talented, very well acclaimed, hilarious comedians who are also passionate about pickleball, as passionate as I am about the sport. And they are very good at playing the game. I try to, when I show up, I don't tell people I'm a comedian. I show up and try to be accepted as a pickleball player. That's what it is. So people know when I show up and I play, they'll go, oh, okay, that guy's decent. That guy's pretty good. He can hang with people at, 4-0 to 4-2 players. That guy can hang in here. He can do that. He's not going to be embarrassing. All right. So people who are that and better. I know people who are better than me, that are comics. So here's the deal. You have a fundraiser. We come in, let's say 4 of us, myself, 3 other comics. And like I said, highly acclaimed comics from television, movies, Tonight shows, comedy specials, film. I'm telling you, legit, like myself, legitimate comics that can play the game. We come in, we be a part of maybe a little special type of celebrity thing. We'll pair up with folks, regular people there. We play in the tournament, and we help, add a little levity for the day. We also get to play a little pickleball. And at the end, that evening, we put on a show. It sounds like a Mickey Rooney movie. Then we put on a show. We perform. We give you a quality show with some top branded comedians. That I don't have a name for what this thing is, but that's the idea. So get at me if you want to do that. Let me know. How do you let me know? I'll just do the regular email, ferguson.lamont@gmail.com. That's what we'll do. All right, folks, we have rambled for nearly an hour. That was actually kind of quick. It felt like to me. Hopefully for you as well. It wasn't prattling on. I said I would try to end on something that's not as heavy, and I don't know what I've got. Yeah. In the early part of the podcast, and I said, let me cook. And then I said I was going to say something, then I decided not to. I like cooking. I like to cook. I do. I used to watch my mom, my grandmother cook, and I picked up some things here and there, and I really do enjoy cooking. Probably going to put together a little Sunday dinner with all the fixins in a couple of days. That's the plan, anyway. But when did chefs become the bad boys of any type of craft? Like, you used to think about a chef. A chef was always a big guy, big, huge, fat dude, has the big hat on, but just a big, hearty guy, and you trust that guy. You're like, oh, that guy, look at how big that guy is. I bet he knows meals. He knows how to enjoy and prepare. That guy knows good food. And now when you see chefs come on, they're fully tatted, the sleeves, the whole arm sleeve tattooed. They're jacked. They're wearing the affliction shirt. Like, when did this happen? When did all of a sudden that the chefs become part of the MMA? When did MMA and food come together and create these yoked, tatted up, jacked chefs? When did they become these bad boys? I just find it very curious. I still am going to trust the big guy. I'm still going to trust a big old man that's a chef. That's the guy I'm trusting, because I know that guy likes to eat. I know that the tatted up guy, the fit guy, the yoked up guy, I'm sure he knows how to eat within his food range. I'm sure he knows how to prepare food that's within his food range that goes, oh, that's really good. What is that, kale? Ah, I didn't know you could do that with kale. No, I want the guy. I want the big guy. It goes to prepare something, you go, oh, I know I can't eat this every day, because if I do that, there won't be a lot of days. That's the guy I want. I want that dude doing my food. All right. I think we've had enough. I hope you have a good week. I wish you the best for the week, and we'll see whether or not I show up next week. And I'll be able to tell you about my progress with pickleball. I'm not working this week, so it'll just be me doing whatever it is that I do. I talked about a lot today. I talked about, well, one thing for a long time. I know it's cold in California. I know, I get that. I talked about the ICE folks and how the approach is all wrong. I talked about the dude at top being trash. Yeah, I did say that. And then please do not take that as an indictment upon you, because that dude is not you. Maybe we could also say that. The dude you voted for is not you. Okay? Does that make you feel better? Let's try that. I talked about chefs being yoked, and I don't know if I trust them. And I know I could be wrong about everything I said, because, as I said, my whole life is about, what if I'm wrong? I get it. I could be wrong. But you know the deal. Sometimes the old man is right. I'll see you next time.